Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people, where someone disrespects OP's boundaries. OP isn't too happy about that. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And maybe hit that notification bell so you see my new videos. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Oh, your aunt died. That's nice. Get over it and do your job. Cast. Me, entitled customer, angry manager, and nice customer. For context, tonight I got a phone call from my mom, who informed me that my aunt, who always has been my encouragement, has passed away. I work at a gas station and usually work 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift. I'm still sad and have been crying off and on. Excuse me, why are you crying? I'm sorry, how can I help you? I need gas and I'm on. Gives pump number I can't recall. Input the gas pump and amount into register and try to stop sobbing. Look, either you do your job or call the manager. I am really sorry. I just found out my aunt died. I don't care. Do the damn job. The nice customer overhears this and comes over. She looks at me, an entitled customer. The nice customer said, Her aunt died. Have a little patience. M does the best job here. Oh, she's just making it up. I bet she doesn't even have an aunt. Yeah, she does. I went to high school with her. Which aunt was it? I give her the name and nice customer hugs me. If you're off at 10 p.m., I'll take you home. The entitled customer rolls her eyes and goes to pump her gas. The angry manager comes in and goes to her office to pick up her stuff and finds out the news. She makes me take a 10-minute break and lets me finish crying. 10 minutes pass, back comes entitled customer, and they're tearing into the manager. Wait till your relative dies and see how you like it. OP has lost a sister, a beloved cat, and now an aunt, yet she won't showed up to work. Grind is not working. She's trying to hold herself together. Better than that. Why don't you go to a different gas station if you don't like that? The entitled customer glares as she leaves and mutters that she hopes I get fired. I'm really sorry for it. And the manager responds with, For what? You can't control when relatives die. That customer's just a jerk. Just call if you need anything, right? The nice customer picks me up at 10 p.m. and I head home. I am still not okay with this. So the entitled customer acts like I'm lying about my deceased aunt, then gets yelled at by my manager for doing my job to the best of my ability. FYI, on my father's side, I have 9 aunts. The aunt who passed was my father's biological sister. I was also informed by my father's middle brother's wife for my second aunt. To make this correct, my father has 10 siblings. This aunt was the only female, so yeah, I have 9 aunts. My dad's stepbrother is the only one not married. My best friend is ignoring all of my boundaries, and I'm finding it impossible to talk to her. My best friend of over a decade is originally from the Middle East. She came up to the States to get her graduate degree years ago. We met and became very close friends right away. We lived together. We've been consistently close over the years. She was in the States for several years and then eventually went back home to the Middle East. We've remained extremely close. She got married and she had 2 children. With what has been happening lately in Israel and Palestine has been particularly upsetting to her. For the last month, she's been sending me all sorts of news about it. She's extremely passionate that Palestine should be freed, that in her mind, Israel is completely at fault and is not a real place. I have found it extremely difficult to talk to her. Basically, the first couple of weeks that she was sending things, I wasn't fully in agreement because the thing she's sending was very egregious, but I basically just said, I absolutely feel horrible for the innocent civilians, children-wise specifically, that were really the ones getting the brunt of everything that is happening in Israel and also in Palestine. She got very upset at me for saying this, and told me that the illegal settlers should not be in Israel, so whatever happens to them happens. I then started not speaking to her about it. She would send me information and I would just kind of change the subject. She noticed this and got upset. What I thought temporarily worked it out, only to have it continue. I then tried to open the door to more of how her feelings on the subject are rather than getting to a back and forth about it. She would tell me she feels really angry. She would tell me she feels emotional. Fast forward to this week. She sends me an extremely egregious post where someone was basically insinuating that Hamas is nice and their intent was never to hurt anyone. I told her I wholeheartedly disagree and I'm not comfortable with that kind of content. We got into it again. She basically went down a huge path of writing me paragraphs about how wrong I am. She basically said that Hamas has not harmed any children, and that all of the photos were doctored, and that all of the media was twisted. I've told her numerous times that there is a very huge difference between innocent civilians of Palestine, who are really the ones getting the brunt of everything, versus what she is basically insinuating with that group. I was very alarmed by her saying all of this. I told her there are a lot of Palestinians that do not agree with what the group has done. I was getting increasingly upset because I felt like anything I said was being twisted, and that it was just basically her wanting me to parrot any of her thoughts. I basically told her for maybe the fourth time at this point that I really don't think we should be discussing it, and that's obviously turning into a bigger issue. And respectfully, I'll listen to her thoughts on it, but I do not want it to get to a back and forth where I feel like my words are being twisted, and I'm really not able to say anything unless it's exactly what she wants to hear. She ignored what I said, only to send me more posts on it, and then responded with saying, "Did you ignore what I said?" She ignored that and went on to send more posts. I am literally at the point where I don't know what to do. I have set a boundary and she's essentially disregarded it multiple times. I have tried to be there for her to discuss how she's feeling, since it's personal to her, but at the same time, I have really found it impossible to talk about the situation, because what she's saying is really out of pocket in a lot of ways. How should I go about this situation where I should continue to just not really respond to the posts, or how I should continue to attempt to set my boundary, even though she continues to disregard it? An entitled person yells at a new multimedia person in church and makes her quit. I, 34 male, have been in charge of my church's multimedia system ever since it was opened about 20 years ago, so I'm extremely experienced with the software, timing, and the multitasking in that department. On top of that, I'm also familiar with most songs, so I know what lyrics to pull based on the music's instrument pattern, without second-guessing myself. Recently, one of the other experienced multimedia people aren't available for about 3 months. So to replace her, we have some new people interested in the field. Some have few experiences before in the past, a few are fresh, never did multimedia in the past. This event is about one of the fresh one that I currently train. I believe in hands-on experience, so for me, making mistakes is the fastest way to learn. Because of this principle, this particular person I train, let's call her Anne, makes a few mistakes here and there, but it's mostly minor. I'm monitoring her, so if she does make the mistake, I'm there to guide her and correct her, so the flow of the service is smooth sailing. So far, no one complains and she's getting better, until last week's service. One of the singers is my friend's mother, the Karen in this story. She tends to be loud, obnoxious, and is not afraid to speak her opinions regardless of other people's feelings. Before this service, she told Anne not to be late with the lyrics because most of the songs are new and not in our native language. Our origin of country is non-English speakers. We are currently in the USA. I'm very familiar with her attitude because I've dealt with her for years. So I just told Anne to ignore her and focus on what she's doing. Karen had a sour look on her face because we just ignored her so-called advice, and she left. However, what she said kind of sticks to Anne's mind because as the service went, she did make more mistakes than what she makes previously. Anne missed some cues and timing on pulling the right lyrics, maybe about 5 times. She misspelled some words, and the translation isn't accurate. We translated the song's lyrics so it's understood in both languages. Nonetheless, this is an extremely minor mistake because everyone just went along with it. Everyone but Karen. Every time I noticed the mistake, I quickly fixed it, then looked at Karen. She glares into our section every single time. I told Anne to just focus and not mind others, that it's fine to make mistakes as long as she learned from it. She actually did well on her 4th week. I'm glad. After the service, Karen makes a beeline to our booth, bypassing all the crowds leaving the building and straight up yelling at Anne quietly. I was surprised because after years of dealing with her attitude, I have never seen this side of her before. It was bizarre. Karen insulted Anne for all of her mistakes, that Anne made her look bad on the stage for not being able to sing properly. I tried to mediate by telling Karen to keep her opinions to herself, but she doesn't care, and continues to insult Anne up to the point where she actually cried. My friend saw her mom at the booth and came rushing to our aid. I told Karen that she has never been doing multimedia before, so she has no right to tell Anne what to do. By this time, my friend already dragged her mom away and apologized for her behavior, while Karen is still yelling insults to Anne as she walked away. I tried to comfort Anne, telling her besides Karen, everyone else is grateful for her service, so she should be proud of herself. In my opinion, she did a really great job for someone who only did multimedia 4 times. However, Karen's words got to Anne. She left to the bathroom, but I didn't come back for the 2nd service. We have a 2nd service for the afternoon number, and I ended up taking over. After the 2nd service, Karen once again went to our booth, and surprised that she didn't see Anne in there. I told her that Anne has left because of our words. Karen defends herself by saying that she's only giving words of encouragement, so Anne can be better next time, and walked away with no apology. Today I found out that Anne is no longer interested in serving as a multimedia person. It's just a terrible feeling because she's actually improving quite a lot, but quit because of Karen's words. I just hope that at least I want to see her still coming as a member, and maybe in the future regain her interest in the multimedia again. Entitled roommate wants to smoke me out of my career, so I let the leasing office know he was squatting. So I, mid-20s male, and my roommate housemate, who is 18 to 25 male, who we'll call X, have been living together for a few months now. We didn't know each other at all before moving in. Leasing office chooses who lives with who in the apartments, with more than one bedroom. Think about college dorms and that's what you get. Anyways, he was a somewhat decent roommate, up until one night where we had a huge fight with his girlfriend, who we'll call Y, but more on that later. I'm a non-smoker. The apartment does not permit smoking in the building, and I have a history of breathing problems that can be aggravated by smoking or secondhand smoke. I've mentioned this to my roommate, but he keeps smoking in the apartment. I've been able to cope with the situation thus far without major issues, but after a ton of hard work, my waivers for enlistment in the army finally got approved. I'm ecstatic, but when I go to training, I'll be tested for all sorts of drugs that I don't use. This includes weed, which is what X has been smoking. He wasn't smoking enough to cause much concern until recently, though. After I got news about my enlistment, I mentioned to X I was getting tested for weed soon. He then began smoking the apartment at least daily. Then I remembered back to the fight he had with his girlfriend. I don't know the particulars of the fight because I had to get up early for work the next day, but based solely on the parts I did hear that night, it could have been passed as spicy bedtime activities, especially to someone exhausted from work who just wants to stay at least half asleep so they can wake up the next day. The only reason I know for sure there was an issue because when I got home from work the next day, I saw X had an eviction posted right there on the front door of the apartment. He was scheduled to move out a few weeks ago, but when I saw it, I didn't concern myself with it because his smoking wasn't too bad before the notice went up, and both his relationship with Y and his lease have absolutely nothing to do with me. So after I asked him to stop smoking in the apartment a few days ago, and his continued persistence in doing so, I decided enough was enough and went over to the leasing office and asked them what happened with that eviction. Turns out he was supposed to be gone and was now trying to squat. His key was deactivated, so he stockpiled food and hardly ever leaves his bedroom. He must have made up with his girlfriend, who seems to be giving him food and enabling his behavior. He's also completely stopped picking up after himself and has caused some water damage to both the bathroom and the kitchen since moving in. I'll try locking him out if I get the chance, and if he persists after that, I can let the police handle the situation. Edit. His case still works! And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, hit the notification bell, and check out my links in the description below. Now, I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta.